Now for you that clicked on this video, I'm sure you're very familiar with the show Rick and Morty, the popular adult animation show that's been running from the 2010s into now the 2020s, and it's a staple in both adult animation and pop culture as we know it. And there's so many different elements of the show that attracts its viewers, whether it's the funny moments, the crazy fights, the real but cruel love that happens, but I think what draws most of its viewers is probably the real topics, the nihilism, pessimism, and the realism the show dives into. Now the first topic we have to talk about is the existential nihilism in the show. Now before we talk about the character that really describes nihilism, we have to talk about what nihilism means. Now according to the Google Dictionary, it means the rejection of all religious and moral principles and essentially the belief that life is meaningless. Now the character who just exudes nihilism throughout season 1 to now season 8 is Rick Sanchez. One of the show's biggest points about Rick is that he's the smartest guy in the universe, making him very aware of everything that goes wrong and everything that can go right. And because of his knowledge and knowing that there's infinite timelines, universes, and possibilities for every single decision we make, to him everything we really do is meaningless. And it doesn't matter if he was to, I don't know, fall and trip in front of his crush or miss the game-winning shot. He can just hop into another universe or timeline where he did the right thing and there'd be no consequence whatsoever for him. And due to this nihilism, as you can tell, it doesn't affect him positively. He has a lot of self-destructive tendencies, whether it's his alcoholism, his I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, but his behavior to want to leave the game early, and also the fact that everything that makes things good, he tries to corrode it, as to him it doesn't matter. But for those who may watch Rick and Morty for the more positive topics, whether it's the love or just the crazy fight scenes, you may be wondering, why is it his nihilism is such a thing that resonates with audiences? Well, in a world of political instability, climate anxiety, and just too much information being handed out everywhere, that nothing matters type of opinion is pretty popular in real life. And personally, I do understand, as we live in a world where the most craziest things are happening. As you've seen this past week, a whole string of events that came straight out of, the absolute universe of DC just happened. And the fact they can happen to any one of us is even more shocking and even more depressing. So I do understand that nothing matters kind of take. Plus, a lot of people use that nihilism as a form of liberation, similar to Rick, as because nothing matters, he feels free to indulge in reckless signs, drugs, alcoholism, and all the worst things your parents tell you to stray away from. The next dark topic we have to mention when it comes to the show is the realism of it. Well, the realism of the show may not affect the show's viewers as much as nihilism really did, but it's still a very prominent fact in the show that kind of makes the show more watchable in my opinion. Now, a way this realism in the show really shines is probably the contrast of the whole show, as in almost every other episode there's either aliens attacking or interdimensional travel happening, but it still have to deal with the most crazy things, or should I say the most menial things we have to deal with, whether it's Beth and Jerry almost arguing every other episode about how they want to divorce each other, or some are still dealing with high school insecurities. A prime example of the realism in the show really shines through Morty, as his family seems to be kind of just okay with having to go through all these interdimensional type of stories and all the craziest things happen to them. But Morty, he's still dealing with it in the worst way possible, as almost every other season or episode he's dealing with heartbreak, having to be exposed to the most insane, HP Lovecraftian and horror monster you could ever think of, and it leaves him more scarred every season, every episode, but it's something that's glanced over but sometimes touched on, but still it's a very prominent thing. Another realistic part of the show is probably about the power of science. As in most sci-fi shows, the exploration or creation of a new scientific wonder or discovery is something that's really touched upon and something that's viewed as the greatest thing possible. But in Rick and Morty, you realize that having such a discovery or creation can really just cause more problems for everybody in either your family or the world, because you're just going to become more evil with it. And there's countless episodes throughout the show where the overexposure of science can cause someone to turn from a good guy that you thought was trustworthy into probably the worst villain you ever could have thought of. And the last point of realism that's thrown throughout the show is the fact there's no such thing as a happy ending, as conflicts rarely resolve neatly. Beth and Jerry's marriage is still pretty unstable, Rick is still a depressed old man he always is, and Morty is still becoming more scarred and more jaded and just more traumatized with each season. And yes, even though the show does support change and the fact they are trying to change, it's not just gonna happen in any other cartoon show where they just change overnight or suddenly they're the best guy ever. In reality, it's gonna take a lot more work than just 8 seasons. The last dark topic we have to talk about in Rick and Morty is pessimism. Now, for those who don't know, pessimism is the tendency to see the worst aspect of things or believe that the worst will happen. Now, in the show, pessimism isn't necessarily said, but more so shown throughout the show. For example, in the episode Rick Potion number 9, after accidentally Cronenberging Earth, Rick casually abandons his original family/universe, and him and Morty end up burying their own corpses after killing the universe they hopped to so they can join up and basically take over and replace them in that family. And you may be wondering, how the fuck does that relate to being pessimistic? Well, in most shows, the optimistic approach is be able to try to fix their mistakes, fix the world, and everyone ends up having a happy ending. But in reality, or should I say in a pessimistic way, shit doesn't happen that way. Sometimes there's just irreversible damage that you just have to leave from instead of being able to fix. Another way that this is shown throughout the show was in the relationship between Beth and her father, Rick Sanchez. As due to Rick leaving her at such a young age, she kind of doesn't view him as the best father, and even though she can be optimistic sometimes in the fact that he's trying to help out family-wise, be able to change his nihilistic and depressive ways, at the end of the day, she still doesn't view him as the best person ever, and still views him in a pessimistic way in the fact that he'll never change and she'll just never have a true father. Now, as to why viewers actually enjoy this pessimism is that it feels authentic, as by laughing at life's futility and the viewers being reminded that they're not alone in their disillusionment, it helps them feel a bit better about themselves, and I am one of those viewers that agree with that as well. Anyways, y'all, hope y'all enjoyed that video, the dark topics of Rick and Morty, or maybe I'll just name it the realism of Rick and Morty. That should get more clicks, hopefully. Anyways, y'all, hope God's blessing you the way He's been blessing me. Try to pray more, y'all, as I'm someone that, even though I have been, sometimes I can waver sometimes due to the fact I feel like life isn't going my way, but that's where faith comes in, y'all. There's no such thing as strength without faith. Anyways, y'all, thank y'all so much for watching the video if you got to this point. Catch you guys on the next one.
Keep my ear to the streets like I'm Jiro. Hold his ass with a left like a Giro. Damn, your friend trippin', she don't want my mans. I call Beezy, he up in the blam. Leave that shit on the floor like a slam. You're a sherm, boy, you really a ham. I might call up Zay. Psych, me, she gon' get you today. Jay right beside, we like Curry and Clay. And if you gon' talk crazy, he do you like Dre. Lobbing it up on the play. This a message I'm trying to display. If you can't talk money, then